What is going on, everybody? It's your man Cleveland Terry, and today I told you we would do it. We're going to do a versus with the new EV Evolve speakers, the 70 and the 90, and we're going to test it against the point source QSC 12.2s and 118s to see just how close they come to a traditional point source speaker. Now, I know you're questioning, well, why don't you just do the 90s with the Mauis? They don't compare, they don't compete. This is not a slight to the 44s. It's just the Evolve 90s are operating in a class all of their own. Honestly, those 18s, the clarity, it's a different ball game. Now, you're gonna get some of that clarity with the 70 because obviously it's just a different sub, but the highs are exactly the same. So it's gonna be very interesting to hear the difference, but we are gonna compare all three of them together and go. Now, you know what? Let me just show you something real quick, just so you can see what's going on. On the Mauis, I got all the Mauis set to basically, I try to line them up exactly the same. The levels are going to be a little off. Look, this isn't going to be a scientific test, okay? I'm going to get the levels as good as I can, and then we'll just play them off from there, and then you guys kind of be the judge for yourself. Just something right off the bat, I had to put the 90s down to like -5 to match the highs. Okay, real quick guys, before I go too far, I just want to do some clarifications on the Evolve 90 settings because as I was thinking about it before I send this video out, I want to make sure you guys know. The profile is standard, which basically means kind of a flat curve for the audio. That's going to impact the bass. It's going to have less bass. There is a club setting too that also will beef up the bass, but I only did the standard. Also, I only dropped the main volume down to -5, which means that everything's coming down. I didn't modify the bass to keep the bass up at a higher level. So the only reason why I'm telling you this is because the bass is louder than what you're hearing on there. I kept it very, very, very conservative, keeping it at the standard and not affecting the bass. Just an FYI, just so you know. For the QSC, and as you can see on the QSC, I mean, in order to kind of even meet the clarity of the 90s, I had to really crank it, and I had to put it on live versus music because the music was muffling it a little too much. And I didn't think about that or notice that until I started using these column arrays. Also, the sub, the 118 right here, is at 12 o'clock. Now, this is the thing that we know. We can really push these 118s. They can get really, really bassy. But are we doing that on your everyday party? Probably not. If you're anything like me, most of the time the venue's telling you to turn the bass down anyway. So I got it at 12 o'clock. I think it's a nice thing. And I'm keeping the levels reasonable. I'm not trying to distort or push them too hard. I just want you to hear the even sound. I have my S9 over here in the back running at 12 o'clock. And we're going to test it out and go from there. You tell me. Now, if you don't like the test, then you don't like the test. Nothing I can do about that. It is what it is. I'm only going to use this one speaker right here because I do not want my other mic to kind of get in there and mess with the sound. So if I'm back here, I'm going to sound far away. It is what it is. Just deal with it. I'm going to play several songs. We're going to do some hip hop, all license-free music. So we're going to play some hip hop. We're going to play some EDM. We'll play just some like kind of off the cuff music just so you can kind of get an idea of the range of the speakers, and we'll just push them and we'll see what happens. We're going to basically go from left to right, or it could be your right to left. I don't know. We're going to start with the 90s, then go to the 118s, and then we're going to come back to the 70s, and then we will see just how they sound. Okay, sit tight. Be right back. All right, here we go. Test one on the 90s. One thing before we go on, you probably noticed, first of all, the highs are definitely coming out hotter on the 90s and the 70s. Obviously, same speaker, so they're gonna have the same sound, but they are noticeably louder just in general off of the 12.2s. Like the clarity, the frequency response is just very, very good on these speakers. So it actually throws you where you think the sound is not close as far as like decibel level, but the clarity is just so good that they just come out that way. However, reverse it. The sub I got running at 12 o'clock. So I'm not fully pushing the 118 sub. We know that this QSC sub can get louder, so obviously you have more flexibility. I'm going to tell you right now that you're obviously going to have a little less flexibility. You can adjust the bass, but a dedicated sub is a dedicated sub. You know, there's just no way around that. If you are pushing this one super loud, the 90, super loud that night, well, you're going to lose some of your bass response, okay? Because you have to power both the high and the bass, and the sub's the first to get it. When you have a dedicated sub and its own power and its own amplifier, you have a lot more flexibility. The same thing with the 70. Now, you've probably already noticed the 70 seems to be more bassy and more loud. Well, that's because it's a 15. So you can get more power into the 15 basically faster than you can the 90. You have to crank up the 90 for it to really get that bass response. But 70s are no slouch. 70s are no slouch. All right, let's go to some EDM. Sound so different, I went and looked at my decibel reader, and they're all within like 1 or 2 decibels of one another. So not a big difference, but still, this is just not scientific, just so you can kind of hear what's going on.
Love is love. Love is love. I need love. love. Love is love. I need love. Love is love. Love is love. I need love.
I'm gonna let you guys decide. And obviously, if you want to know the real feel and the real vibe, I encourage you to go to your local music store or the next conference and really listen to them yourself, so you can really feel the bass hit you. You're only gonna get so much coming out of this little ass microphone, but it's a good kind of first starter to kind of feel what you want. This is what I will say right off the bat. First off, the clarity of both the 90 and the 70 is unmatched by the KSC, QSC. You're really gonna have to EQ the hell out of that to get that to sound to even close to the same levels, and I don't even think it can come that close. And when we go through the 70 and the Maui, it'll give you a better indication of exactly the sound levels that I'm talking about. Bass-wise, obviously the QSC bass, I'm not pushing the bass. There's a lot more bass that you can get from it. Like I said, it's a point source. You're gonna get a lot from it, and you can definitely feel that bass. The QSC speaker bleeds more, and what I mean by that is the bass isn't as tight. There's a lot of bass that gets kind of pushed everywhere. I'm not opposed to that sound. I actually like it because I think it fills up the mid range a little better in a lot of circumstances. If I'm in my office, like all I hear is the bass, but some people don't love that. They like a really, really tight bass. So you're gonna have to decide what's best for you. Then we have the 70s, which are holding their own, but there's only so much bass that can come out of that 15. And as I said before, both the 90 and the QSC, I got more range. I can go up much louder on both of them. I can go louder on the 70 again because of the high, but I'm never gonna get that same bass that I'm getting out of the both 18-inch speakers. It's just not gonna happen. But they sound really good, and in a pinch, I would say the 70s can work for a lot of people if they don't have their point source, or they brought it in thinking that it was gonna be a certain size and then it's bigger than they thought. You can still hold your own. But I'm really impressed so far with what I've been hearing out of the 90. I did use it last weekend on a party. I'm going to use it on this weekend. And this weekend is this is the venue where speakers go to die. So I don't know if I'm going to do a live video because I have LED wall and a lot of other things. So I can't really be trying to do this and run the production for my company. So we'll see what we can do. But that is the venue where speakers go to die. If they are the slightest bit questionable, you will notice all their weaknesses in this venue. It's a sound stage, so if that should give you any indication. But the bottom line here is, if you have the Evolve 90s and you're questioning whether or not you can use them over your point source, I think you can. Now, it's never going to get as loud from the bass wise, okay? That's just it. You're not going to get like, if I push up the 118 to 3 o'clock or a little higher, the bass that's coming out of that is ridiculous. But nobody's pushing their speakers there. They're usually keeping it right around 12, maybe 1 or 2 o'clock. And then I would say you probably hold more of your own. But clarity-wise, it's just running circles around the 12.2 right now. And when I bring up the Mauis on the next video, which you will see, I'm going to post them both on the same day, you'll be able to see the difference between those two. And we're only going to compare those to the 70s. All right, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave them in the chat. Like I said, I'm going to do my full review for the 90s next week after I've gone through. I have 2 more events, Saturday and Sunday, where I'm going to be using the 90s. So I will have really, I will know what I feel about these parties. By the way, both these parties on the medium to large size. I think the Saturday one is 200, 220, somewhere around there in a good sized room. And then the Sunday party, I think is 180, and it's in a medium sized room. So these will be very good indicators of what you can expect on your parties. Okay, guys. If you found what I said here useful, hit that like button. If you found what I said here really useful, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow me on the Instagrams and the Twitters. Get on my Discord, because that's what we're talking about, all things Cleveland Terry. But honestly, if you have any questions, leave them in the chat. I'm not going to talk about, at the moment, what I feel that this speaker can do number-wise. I'm going to leave that for my full review, which will come out next week. All right, guys. Always a pleasure. If I don't talk to you later, we'll talk soon. Peace.